Welcome to Valor and Virtue. I'm Jim Danielson. We're joined today by Sergeant Major Paul Siverson, United States Marine Corps retired. And we'd like to begin by asking you, sir, a little bit about yourself and what led you to become a Marine.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it very much. I'm not really sure what led me to be a Marine. I'm the only one in my family who served in the Marine Corps. My dad was in the Army, served in the Korean War. I had several aunts and uncles who served in the various branches of the military. But at a young age, the Marine Corps just caught my eye. And all through high school, I just kept thinking about wanting to be a Marine. Graduated high school at 17. Parents wouldn't sign the age waiver because I had two cousins in Vietnam at the time. So I went to work on Wall Street, hated it, turned 18, went right back to the recruiter, signed up and no delay program and nothing, just left. So that started my 2-year enlistment that wound up being 30 years long.
And when did that begin?
1970.
1970. And you went to Parris Island?
Yes, I did.
What was it like back then? I say the reason I bring that up is because when I was at Parris Island, our drill instructors used to say back in the 50s when it was really the Marine Corps.
Well, my lead drill instructor was a Korean War veteran.
Really?
And the other two were both Vietnam veterans. So I think it was a little different than it is today. I remember going to boot camp, and as we got closer to graduation, they kept telling us to write letters home because most of us weren't coming home. So to write your last letter home to your mom, telling them how much you loved her and that you probably won't see each other again. That was kind of impactful. Being in the infantry, that was and the Vietnam War going on, that was kind of had an impact on me.
So your MOS was?
I started out as infantry. I was a machine gunner.
Okay. And you say you served 30 years?
30 years.
Were you ever a drill instructor?
No, for some reason my packages always got turned down. Maybe I was too short. I don't know.
I don't know. I had a drill instructor who was pretty short.
Well, it's funny you mention that because one of my drill instructors, you always have the one that's really, really bad and nasty. He was small, real small. And after I retired, I ran into him up at Cherry Point. He was the exchange officer up there. So I invited him to my retirement ceremony. I just thought it was so neat to have one of my drill instructors at my retirement ceremony 30 years later.
Yeah, that would be something. That you would say, okay, you have some lifelong friendships that you made in the Marine Corps. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Marine Corps is small, so you make friends wherever you go. And us in the Marine Corps, we transfer every couple of years, so you make new friends. And I like to tell the young Marines that when they ask me, what's your favorite duty station? And I like to tell them, well, the Marine Corps only has two good duty stations, the one you're leaving and the one you're going to.
Sure.
So that kind of sets it back a little bit. But every duty station is what you make of it. Every duty station has its good points, has its points that may be not so good, but they're all memorable, whether they're good or bad.
30 years. That has to have a real impact. We understand somebody who does 4 years in the Marines, it has a real impact on you. But 30, could you tell us a little bit about how you experienced that? What was it like 30 years? How did it change you?
I think it made a better person out of me. I grew up middle class in New York City. Didn't really have a lot, but, we got by. And right after my first enlistment, I knew I was going to stay in. I felt the bonding of all the people that were around me, all the Marines I served with, and it just grew. Each duty station, that bond grows and grows and grows. It had a great impact on my life. I look back now and think that's probably the best decision that I ever made was to stay in the Marine Corps. And if I had a choice, I wouldn't have retired. I tried to stay in past my 30, but at that time it was 30 and out. Otherwise, I would have really enjoyed to stay more. In fact, after 9/11, I retired in August of 2000, and I went to work as executive director here at the Jacksonville USO. And after 9/11, I did my darndest to try and re-enlist.
It's interesting that you say that because there are a lot of Marines around here. It's a great place, and gosh, a lot of them will say, "I kept going. If they'd let me do it all over again, I'd do it now."
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, you run into a lot of Marines who serve, 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever. And the first thing they'll say is, "Yeah, I wish I would have stayed in."
Yeah.
They all say that. I don't think I've read anybody who got out that didn't think that way.
Well, finally, Sergeant Major, we have some troubles in our society. We have some difficulties. What do you think could be a contribution of the Marine Corps to our countrymen to help them become patriotic again and love our country, engage in it as citizens?
Well, we're very fortunate in this community. This community probably had, the esprit de corps and the Jacksonville, Onslow community is just far superior to anywhere else you've been. I don't think there's a lack of patriotism here locally. Even the civilians here have great patriotic desires. Nationwide, without getting into politics,
Sure.
that's kind of hard to answer. Youth of today, social media, for one thing, I think is gotten out of hand.
Right.
I think there's too much listening to the wrong people and not listening to the right people. We need to get our parents back online to teach, and our educators back online to teach values, to teach ethics, and to teach everybody how to treat each other with dignity and respect.
Right. Sergeant Major Paul Siverson, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Yes, sir.